Green morning, green afternoon, and green evening everywhere, world over. We extend a very hearty welcome. Om Shri Ganeshaya Nama. God bless all of us in this universe and all our brothers and sisters across the globe, Indian diaspora, because our chamber is deeply associated with Indian diaspora, and we are working very, very closely for 31.4 million Indians abroad in almost 149 countries. During this pandemic, a lot of challenges for everybody. And of course, India also has gone through rough time, rough weather, right from 25th of March 2020. There were lots of challenges, medical challenges, wellness challenges, social challenges, economical challenges, and more important is education challenges, because 1.65 billion children were away from schools and colleges. So ladies and gentlemen, we'll focus on education. Let it be a medical education, let it be a wellness education, let it be a health education, let it be wellness for everybody wherever you are. Stay positive, think positive, talk positive, walk positive, live positive, dream positive, enjoy positivity all around wherever you are. And let's travel to 8 beautiful states of the northeast part of India. I love Northeast. Last 40 years, my associations with Northeast, wonderful people, art, craft, culture, cuisine, dances, music, humanity, brotherhood, and of course, warmth of the people. And today, everybody is talking about soft skills. We understand it so deeply. When you talk about soft skills, I think it generates, it originates, and it has got in abundance as far as the youth, teachers, educators, principals, counselors, and humanity in the northeast part of India is concerned. Etiquettes, manners, gesture, body language, personality, communication, articulation, critical thinking, logical thinking, analytical thinking, positive thinking, happiness in every moment. And that comes through Mr. Tyrone D. Brass, the advisor of the ICSI for education vertical for the Northeast India. Today, we are privileged. One of our brothers, Dr. Subhankar Paul, the clinical fellow transplant surgery and the organ retrieval. He's at the Cambridge University Hospital, and that's all the way in the United Kingdom. He's at the NHS Foundation Trust. We extend him a very warm welcome. And indeed, it's a great pleasure. And let's come back to our beautiful Bharat, Dekho Apna Desh, 26th November 2021, IRCT, and taking a special train to Northeast. You can well imagine today is 20th. It's just 6 days away. And I think one of these days, I will also travel with Mr. Tyrone and a couple of other friends from the Northeast, 14 nights, 15 days, 5 beautiful states, traveling, tourism, and that's wonderful fragrance. So our chamber extends a very warm welcome to all our brothers and sisters. Thank you very much. We just finished with the previous program, which was on Ayurveda. And now, ladies and gentlemen, 8 p.m. onwards, we are in beautiful northeast part of India. And let's enjoy together, travel together. We are focusing on services sector. Economy is based of 3 parts: agriculture, manufacturing, and services. And we are focusing on services. Now, teachers and youth, they play a very important role in our system, in our ecosystem, in our economy, and the global civilization. So we extend a very, very special welcome. And ladies and gentlemen, no education is complete unless it is equipped or chipped with skills, and both of them together. That means education and skills got to have a positive outcome. That means there has to be a substantial outcome of education and skills. So micro, small, and medium enterprise, whether you go for startup, you become entrepreneur, you become self-employed, you go for employment, whatsoever is there, Shiksha, Kaushalta, and Udmita. Our chamber is also deeply working with the strategies, how the human services export can take place from India. A lot of youth, because India is the youngest nation of the globe, of the world today. And when we talk about 65% population of the country is less than 35 years of age, you can well imagine what a beautiful opportunities are there, because a lot of countries are there where population is aging. When you think about Europe, when you think about Japan, when you think about a couple of other countries where the population is aging, the gap can be filled by Indian youth, but they got to be skilled, they got to have competencies, they have to have capabilities. And we launched India's first finishing school way back in 1994. And during this pandemic, we also brought e-Gurukul for service industry. We are really happy. And during this pandemic, right from 25th of March, every day, non-stop, we have not missed even for a single day. And some of the days in the thick of the pandemic, somewhere in month of April, May, June, July, August, September, October, last year, we have organized even 7 webinars per day, starting early in the morning from Australia, New Zealand, coming to Southeast Asia, going to Middle East, from there to Central Asia, and from there to Mauritius, Africa, Seychelles, and then of course, thereafter coming to South Asia and Southeast Asia, and finally coming to beautiful Bharat. And we have been beaming and basically supporting all the teachers. And over here, you see the homepage of ICSI, International Chamber for Service Industry. If you go on icsiindia.in, and if you click over here on the homepage itself, register for Global Confluence, register for Global Knowledge. It's a global sharing, the world knowledge sharing platform where everything related to services sector. There are 54 verticals in services sector. We have taken all of them together. And we strongly believe in education, there should be art, craft, culture, music, dance, games, happiness, humor, fun, creativity, curiosity, storytelling, stimulation, passion, talent, stress-free education, technology-based education, vocational-based education, skill-based education, and of course, nature-based education. And why not? Education should be relevant to our day-to-day life, right from the morning when we get up till we sleep. Tomorrow morning, don't forget to join us at 9:30. We will be taking you to California, all the way to Los Angeles, Burbank, 60 miles away from the Los Angeles airport to the Woodbury University. And we will be with Professor Satinder Dhiman, where we will talk about 7 habits of highly fulfilled people. That's tomorrow morning. And tomorrow, don't forget, another treasure of the Northeast we all will enjoy together, because there are 37 sector skill councils of the Ministry of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship, Government of India, right from 2015 onwards, with the vision of the Honorable Prime Minister. And one of the sector skill council we are working very, very closely, and that's a Media Entertainment Sector Skill Council. Tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen, we will be traveling to all the 8 beautiful states. We will meet 45.8 million people in 8 beautiful states in the northeast part of India, 11:30 a.m. tomorrow morning, through the lens, through the vision, and through the media entertainment activities with Madam Nijara Nath. She's the consultant for Media Entertainment Sector Skill Council, responsible for entire northeast part of India, radio, television, theater, music, films, anchoring, modeling, whatsoever you want to talk about related to augmented reality, virtual reality, Internet of Things, blockchain, and whatsoever we can think, artificial intelligence, and how media entertainment, because it's a natural talent of Northeast children. Tomorrow we are going to talk about that. We all will share. And tomorrow evening, 8 p.m., we will be taking you to Canada. You will be meeting Mr. Vijay Shastri Kotamarti, the CEO of the Kotamarti Group, and he will talk about his lifetime journey. An Indian, born in India, he's a Telugu, and all the way from Hyderabad, he moved from there to Africa continent, and he was in Kenya for quite some time. He was in Dubai for quite some time, and thereafter he moved for last 2 decades. He's there right in Canada, and he had been working for Canadian television for 10 years. He had been working for the radio for 6 years. Tomorrow evening, he'll talk about his lifetime journey, inspiration. By profession, he's a chartered accountant. So all of us will enjoy Canada tomorrow evening at 8 p.m. Like today, you're enjoying Meghalaya, you're enjoying UK, United Kingdom. So ladies and gentlemen, post-pandemic, the B2B is back to basics of life. So whatsoever humankind can, this our mind, it's a very important segment. Whatsoever human mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. Let's come together. Let's work together. Let's move together. Act East policy. Let's empower our Northeast region together. And I very strongly believe, along with Mr. Tyrone, that education is the only tool with which we can bring equality, togetherness, happiness world over. This is your YouTube channel. Subscribe, like, press the bell icon, and be a part of it. Today, let's have two beautiful prizes as the discussion will proceed. I had been telling earlier also, today once again, I say, anybody who will post two good ideas, how can we empower the education ecosystem in Northeast part of India? How can we train our teachers? How can we help our teachers? How can we strengthen our Northeast part of India? Any good two suggestions which will come today? It is Mr. Tyrone and Dr. Paul. They will decide together. Two winners, 500 rupees each. Today, you get the prize. And I'm extremely, extremely happy. We have completed 1,303 webinars during this pandemic, 11,000 educators and 300,000 youth from world over. Wow, it's an amazing. All of us, we travel together, move together. Let's take on a journey and join me in extending a very warm welcome to Mr. Tyrone D. Brass and Dr. Subhankar Paul. Mr. Tyrone, all yours.
Thank you, Doctor, for that wonderful introduction over there. There was a slide you just showed which said anything that the mind can conceive and believe can be achieved. And our guest today is rightly that kind of a person, Dr. Subhankar Paul, a clinical fellow, transplant surgery and organ retrieval, Cambridge University Hospital, England. Welcome, Dr. Paul.
My pleasure. Thank you so much. And thank you, Dr. Sharma, for that wonderful slideshow.
Thank you. Please go ahead.
In fact, Dr. Subhankar, it's been a pleasure to get you over here with us. And, it's a walk for me, walk back in time, because I knew from a little boy, a smart little boy, and today you've gone far in life. That gives me a lot of happiness to have you back over here. Subhankar, tell us a bit of your life, your exciting life.
Yes, I can say that I have had an exciting life. First of all, thank you so much for calling up suddenly in the morning and saying if I'm free or not. Yes, I've known you since childhood, so you have been my role model when I was in school, and I think coming to school was a drama in itself, because I was born in Tura, but my dad and my mom's family are from Mahendraganj, which is one of the border villages of Meghalaya. And when I reached schooling age, my mom sort of rebelled against the family and brought me to Tura. She said, I'll go alone, I'll make him study in Tura, not in Mahendraganj. And the family was a bit upset with that. So she brought me, and we stayed in a one-room apartment at the bottom of the steps in Hawa Khana. That's how I remember my early childhood.
That's right.
Yes, and it was imperative for me to sort of be good in studies, because that was the sole reason she shifted to Tura from Mahendraganj. And my dad was posted in another village sort of called Zigzag. So I used to travel every weekend and come to Tura. And I think Sherwood was in its early stages at that point. We had the thatched roof, and the classes used to be upstairs on top of the hill where the playground is now. And as the school has grown, I can proudly say I grew together. So we grew together, we learned together, and the school gave me a foundation for my life. That's my earliest memories of Sherwood School, and I've always been thankful for it.
Oh, that's really heartening to hear from you, Dr. Subhankar. And after finishing Sherwood, you went to Don Bosco College. You did extremely well. And then you went on to Silchar. Tell us about your Silchar experience.
Yes. So
Hello.
If Sherwood had, we can hear you, sir. Yeah.
Please go ahead. Please go ahead.
Yeah. If Sherwood had 11, 12, I wouldn't have left Sherwood, but Sherwood is still up to class 10. And I think the expectations were a bit too high from me. So I didn't get the rank in class 10. I missed by a few marks. And in those days, it used to be only up to top 10. Nowadays, they give it up to 20. Maybe I would have got a rank then. But yeah, so that was a bit of a disappointment to leave the school with sort of a heartbreak. But I went to Don Bosco, and then from Don Bosco, once I think all the expectations were met when I cleared my 12th results. And then it was sort of a life-changing decision to decide which branch to choose. And my initial focus was always on architecture or sort of engineering or architecture. And but somehow I ended up in medicine. And I wasn't very sure when I first joined in Silchar, but then in the second year I found surgery, and that changed my life. So in Silchar, it was sort of a cultural shock coming from a very Western society of Meghalaya and coming into Silchar. But I immediately adapted to the culture in Silchar, and I think it was a boon in disguise, because it was so personal that all the teachers would take care of you in a very personal way. Everybody would know you. There were only 65 students then in each class. And it was like a family. I stayed in the hostel where we stayed as a family. All of us were like brothers in the same place. And I also ended up in the extracurricular activities of Silchar Medical College. I was elected as the General Secretary of the Students' Union. I was also the president of the Junior Doctors Association there. So it was a really fun time. And I was learning medicine. So that in itself changed my perspective of the human body and the human mind.
You always displayed leadership, and you went on to get elected as school captain of Sherwood School. And I think that was a wonderful thing, because it was recognition of your leadership at the school level, and you did a wonderful job over there as being the school captain with your team. And teamwork actually is a very important element in growth. You know, Doctor, I would like to know which things that you see, because you worked in India and you worked abroad.
We have got Mr. Tyrone. Mr. Tyrone, we have got some challenges with your voice. I would request you just try and because your words are breaking. Your words are breaking.
I think if you turn off your video and then
Yes.
just keep the
No,
audio on.
video is not there. It's only a
Oh,
photograph.
oh, okay.
There is no video. It's a photograph. He's already struggling with the audio. Yeah, please try. Yes,
All right.
try with the audio. Yes, try it with the audio. Just see.
All right. Subhankar, you have worked in India, you worked in Tura, you worked in Chennai, and you're working now in England. What were the challenges you faced here in India vis-a-vis England? Is it better now?
Yeah, it's much better. I could hear hear your question. So my career trajectory has taken the right path actually, because I wasn't exposed to a very advanced medical system right from the beginning, and then thrown into more challenging environment. So I started from a challenging environment and moved on to more advanced places of work. So Silchar Medical College was a government college. So and it didn't have any super specialty at that point. Even now, it's struggling with the super specialty branches. So I was taught with in a very clinical environment. So we were more into diagnosing diseases using our clinical acumen, and then I moved on to Jorhat. Before I got into Chennai, I was in Jorhat for some time, which was a similar environment, but it had better buildings because thankfully the Assam government has sort of renovated or made the entire medical situation in Assam much better now. So when I went to Jorhat, it was similar, and then when I got into Chennai, it was again completely different for me, because that was a corporate environment in the beginning, and it had more of all. It had the components of international standards brought into one place. The only downside of Apollo was it was very expensive. So there was availability, but affordability was still an issue there. So the average person would struggle there. However, it had all the instruments, all the technology that is new. It's there and it's available to anybody who could afford it. Whereas when I moved to England, I was shocked myself because healthcare here is free in the NHS, and unfortunately, some of them take it for granted. Because they don't realize how difficult access to healthcare is in other parts of the world, especially in developing countries. So that was the most shocking difference that I found, that you could be a beggar on the road and still get a transplant here. Whereas when we say transplant in the Indian scenario, it's totally it's a totally different shock to some of the patients.
I see. Yeah. So that's really, there's a vast difference between the two systems from what you've just described.
I mean, the Indian government setup is very similar to the NHS setup. Ideally, every treatment should be free to all the patients, even in India. The problem with the Indian government health system is that the population is so large that it cannot cater to every person that comes in, and that itself is a challenge which we have not been able to address even after sort of diversifying different health centers throughout the districts and primary healthcare centers in rural areas, just to make it a sort of a step ladder pattern where we can deal with smaller diseases in the primary healthcare center and then refer only the urgent ones into the tertiary healthcare center, which is very much similar in NHS. But I think we haven't been able to play on that very effectively. There are missing links in the whole chain of healthcare. So we need to address those things to get a better form of healthcare in India.
Could you just share with us how your kind of work that you're doing, this transplant surgery and organ retrieval. Could you tell us a
Yes.
bit of the work?
So I came in here looking for a fellowship in transplant surgery, and I was lucky to get into this job. So my job involves mostly organ retrieval, and then implanting these organs as well. So organ retrieval part of it is under the National Organ Retrieval Service, which is called as the NORS service, and it is run by the NHSBT, which is NHS Blood and Transplant, and it's a central hub. So it's a central place which runs all the teams in the country. So at any given moment, there are about 7 teams which is on call, and each team basically looks after a particular region of the country. So England is an island, so it's a small island, so it's easier for them to coordinate stuff. So I cover east of England. So Cambridge Hospital covers east of England mostly. And whenever there's a potential donor that is flagged up in the east of England region, our team gets notified and we go to that particular hospital, and retrieve the organs and send it or bring it with us to whichever center has accepted them for transplantation. So the recipient can be anywhere in the country, but the retrieval team is basically most commonly from the area which it covers. Sometimes what happens is the retrieval team is already busy retrieving organ from one of the hospitals, but there's another call from the same region. So another team which is free at that point will be mobilized. So that means that sometimes, even though we are just covering east of England, we may be called up to Scotland to get the organs. And once the organs are retrieved, during surgery, we sort of examine these organs and say if they are suitable enough for transplantation. It would have been accepted by different recipient centers, but then we also have to have a final look. And once we say that, yeah, the organs look good and they have perfused well on a back table perfusion, then the recipient centers go ahead with mobilizing the recipients as well. So the recipient who has been allocated the organ comes into the recipient center, and they wait the decision of the retrieval team as well as the retrieval surgeon. And once it's a go ahead, there will be another ambulance driver waiting for the organ. If it's not the team that is retrieving, is also the implanting team. So, and the organ will be transported across as soon as possible. So the thing in India is it's so vast that we can't imagine transporting organs just by a normal ambulance, because the traffic is not as sorted as it is here. So most of the times we call something as green corridor in India, but in the UK there's no green corridor. It's either blue lighted, or if the organ is about more than 3 to 4 hours away from the destination, so they arrange for chartered flights or helicopters.
So time is of the essence.
Time is of essence, because once the organ is cooled down in the box, each organ has its own sort of time threshold. So especially if it's a heart, I don't do hearts. I'm an abdominal retrieval surgeon, but there's a cardiothoracic team as well, which comes for heart and lungs. And if it's a heart or a lung, if it's a heart, basically, it has to be within the recipient body within 4 hours. So they get the first priority. So they are transported almost immediately from the point they're retrieved, and they go to the implanting center immediately.
Oh,
and
that's
other organs, yeah.
Okay,
so if it's a liver,
yeah.
If it's a liver, then it's 8 to 10 hours. Yeah. Kidneys are more resilient, so we can wait for up to 24 hours. But ideally, the earlier they're transplanted, the better they function.
All right, Doc. That's lovely. I mean, it's really exciting. You know, you're saving lives at the same time. You know. That's
Yeah.
great,
So
great work.
I think organ donation is one of the most beautiful things.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, organ donation is one of the most beautiful things, because I think the death of a loved one is the most tragic thing that can happen to a family. But that same person can save another 6 lives, and that gives meaning to the loss that the family has. It can never replace that person, but at least it gives some meaning to the loss. So um, it's a beautiful thing.
And all this is done free.
And it's free of cost.
In Britain,
It's free of cost.
There's no cost on the organ. Oh, wonderful.
So it is billed.
Doctor.
It's billed under the NHS.
Yeah.
It's billed under the NHS, but the NHS is paid for by the government. So and it's basically tax money which is utilized for the NHS. There is also a private setup, but that is very expensive. People are transplanted mostly through the NHS.
Okay. Doc, since you're practically, you're living over there in England, do you miss home in a way like Durga Puja, Diwali, Holi?
Yes.
How does that? How does that
I couldn't get the last part, but yes, I do miss home. There are certain areas of which organize all sorts of festivals. There's Diwali, there's Durga Puja as well in England, because we Indians are everywhere. But when I'm working, I think it doesn't matter. The theater environment is same everywhere. So once you're inside the theater, you don't really miss. When I'm outside the theater, that's when I start missing home. I think when I was back home as well, I would still miss Durga Puja and Diwali because I would be working. So it sort of balances out. It's just that I'm away from home now rather than in home and still missing.
All right. Okay. Yeah, you're right. The Indians are actually scattered all over the globe, and
Yes.
in pretty big numbers too.
Yes.
Doctor, one question that I would like to know is, why would you want to return to India? I mean, having a wonderful job in Britain, why would you still want to return to India?
That's yeah, everybody asks me the same question. Why would you want to come back? I think I've discussed this with you. I feel that to be at the risk of sounding pompous, I think if I leave Cambridge today, there'll be somebody replacing me tomorrow. Whereas I'm already missed back home. A lot of people miss me back home. And I think I can make a difference when I come back. Having seen a lot of different places all across the country as well as abroad, I think I have a lot to share and a lot to provide to the people of my region, and I owe it to them because I firmly believe that my career is a collective, is sort of a collective accomplishment of everybody who has somehow influenced my life. So, and I owe it to them and the people of my region, the debt that I have to repay at some point. So I will definitely come back. So that's a very personal sort of opinion of mine, and I can't speak for everybody, but I would want to come back for that, no matter what others say that you should. You shouldn't.
Your humility is so beautiful that I wish many more would just be listening to you on what you just said, returning home and giving back. That's really wonderful and heartening to hear it from Dr. Subhankar Paul.
I think the profession that I'm in is about giving. It's a service profession, and unless we give service to the patient or the person in general, our profession wouldn't be noble anymore, I guess. So,
Well, that's a wonderful way to sum it up, actually. Doctor, and I'm so glad you agreed to come on board this morning, because it's tough for people giving time, and you came readily on board, and I'm so grateful to you for that.
I was this was my free weekend, so I thought, yes, why not? If any other weekend, I might have had to decline the offer, but you caught me on the right weekend.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm really grateful. Thank you so much, Dr. Subhankar, for letting us know about how organs are retrieved in Britain and the challenges we face here in India. Dr. Gulshan, do you have a question?
Yes, I've got a couple of things to share with him, because we share quite a bit of common. First of all, it was such a pleasure through the lens of Mr. Tyrone D. Brass to get the inputs from Dr. Paul. I've got some quick inputs from your side, which can
Sure.
kindly, first of all, let's see how can we build up medical tourism related infrastructure in northeast part of India, because see, you have been in Tura, you have been in have you been in Don Bosco Shillong or Don Bosco Guwahati?
I was in Don Bosco Tura.
Tura. Okay, Don Bosco Tura. Okay, so let's take it. You have seen Meghalaya. Thereafter, you move to Silchar, and we enjoy quite a bit of commonality, because next to your medical college is our Armed Forces Mountain Warfare Institution also. So I have served over there. I had been there for quite some time. And whenever I traveled by road to Shillong from Aizawl, I have been taking that particular road and traveling. So do let us know. First of all, we strongly feel that Northeast India needs a very strong health as well as wellness infrastructure. So what do you feel that what should be the priority area which we should do immediately?
I think, first of all, we focus too much on tourism of Meghalaya, and at the end forget about the infrastructural development, because trying to build a state from the perspective of education, health, and tourism, unless we focus on education and health first, tourism is difficult to focus on. And that's why only certain parts of Meghalaya are very well known, and there are lots of other places which people can't even go still, because the roads are not yet made for those areas.
Point well taken, that we got to build infrastructure for health services as well as for education. Now, post-pandemic, what do you feel? Because you're right over there, you have seen this world, you have seen that world now. What should we incorporate in our education ecosystem so that people are better equipped to take care of their health?
So, yeah, I think I've discussed this with Satayan as well. We focus too much on marks and too much on excelling in our education in terms of getting a good rank or something. It should be more of application-based education rather than getting good marks, because unless we learn to apply what we learn, there's no point in learning what we learn, because we talk about global warming, we talk about climate crisis, we talk about all this stuff, and all of this we have been reading from my childhood. Like even I have read about global warming, and at that point I didn't really understand what it would or how it would impact, and changing my lifestyle in a way so that I can contribute to prevent climate crisis, that should be the focus. So, and if it's just about climate crisis, we can, in a geography class, we can talk about that. In a health education class, we can talk about personal hygiene, we can talk about preventive diseases. So disease prevention is much better than actually treating the disease. So if you talk about health and exercise and how cleanliness of our environment rather than just our homes, because most people end up sweeping all the dirt out of the home into the roads, and the roads are dirty. And when the wind blows, all the dust just comes back in. So cleanliness of not just your home, of the entire society, and health is actually, I feel, a community responsibility rather than just a personal responsibility, because unless the community as a whole is aware of health and hygiene, it's difficult to promote that. And as educators and as students as well, as young kids can have a lot of influence on their elders to change habits. I think that should be the focus.
Wonderful, wonderful. What inspirational message you would like to give to the teachers, those are teaching, and the youth, those are teachers of today and teachers of tomorrow, because now the social media has come, technology has come, digital part has come, and we all had the somersault and a flip learning and digital learning and hybrid learning, flip learning, outside classroom learning. And as you made a mention, application-based, the education, all that when we have taken, what do you feel the people, because see, we need more doctors, we need more nurses, we need more paramedical people, but at the same time, there's a beautiful blend of health and wellness together now. That means people do not want to undergo a surgery if it can be avoided. They would like to preserve their body as it is and recover in a natural process. So I would say, what should we incorporate in our entire education ecosystem from your perspective?
Yeah. So I personally feel that it has to be an integration of all resources. We have geniuses in isolation everywhere. Like there's a genius teacher, but he's isolated and he's just one person. He can't change the entire education system. An excellent doctor can be an excellent doctor by himself, but he can't change the entire healthcare system. That applies to every other branch of science or arts or any other branch. So it has to be an sort of synchronized development of every part of the branch. So like you said, it has to be doctors, nurses, healthcare workers, the housekeeping staff, the roads, the ambulance drivers, the people driving on the road who don't cause an accident. So I think we have demonstrated in this pandemic that we are very adaptable. We have adapted this technology almost instantly. People have worn masks. People have followed lockdown. There will always be some who will try and break out of it, but most in general have adapted to the new situation very well. And that adaptability is our strength. And we should just focus on that adaptability. And I always feel, just like one of your slides said that if you can dream, you can achieve. My motto is, you find a purpose, you'll find a way.
Wow, you find a purpose and you find a way. And finally, I personally feel you owe a lot to Meghalaya, because the foundation always plays very important role, because thereafter, once the foundation is strong, thereafter you can make structures, superstructures, and you can make multi-stories, whatsoever is there. What message would you like to give to young boys and girls, those are in medical education or medical learning at this point of time? Let's focus on Meghalaya when we are focusing on Northeast in this particular program. What message would you like to give to medical students?
So most students who come from Meghalaya are meritorious, because we get seats through the merit list, and they have already achieved something when they get a seat in medicine. The thing is, when we come back, we need to come back with a particular set of skills, and we should be able to use those skills for the development of healthcare in our state. And I think many of my friends are doing that in rural areas under difficult challenges. They are serving the people of Northeast, and I feel that I have betrayed my state by staying away, but I realize that what I'm learning is very unique and it's not available at the moment. So unless I learn it properly, I cannot really come back. So I've spoken to students in Sherwood School as well, that you should go out, explore, see what's there, but always come back to where your roots are. So you can spread your branches, but the water comes from the roots. So you get all your food from the roots.
Lovely, lovely. Such a pleasure hearing you. Such a pleasure. And whatsoever treasures of the wisdom, knowledge, expertise, experience, technology, whatsoever you're collecting over there, we will bring in the form of a medical tourism in Meghalaya, in particular, and entire Northeast as a sprinkling effect as well. That is the way we would like to take it on. So, ladies and gentlemen, every Saturday evening is dedicated to Northeast part of India. And today, what a treasure, Mr. Tyrone D. Brass, our advisor for the chamber, who is taking care of the education vertical for Northeast. He brought such a prestigious guest speaker, Dr. Paul, all the way from UK, and that's from the Cambridge. He is the eminent specialist. He's a doctor, and something wonderful. He has given insight to all of us on transplantation. And two things take away from you, which I'm taking as an educator, as an educationist: application-based education. There is a lot of genius in India, but it's in isolation. This all has to be brought in a collaborative, effective manner to build Northeast India the best possible way. And I think education, skills, competencies, capabilities, and collaboration and creativity and innovation, all that put together would do wonderful. So we wish you all the best, Dr. Paul. Keep doing good job what you're doing.
It's an honor. It's an honor and a pleasure.
Yeah, keep picking up the good threads, and India awaits you whenever you come back. Tura awaits you, Meghalaya awaits you, and Sherwood awaits you, and Dr. Tyrone, Mr. Tyrone also awaits you. One day he will also be Dr. Tyrone D. Brass soon, once he is with our chamber. We are going to work in that direction. So with these words, my deepest gratitude and thanks, and the last word from Mr. Tyrone.
Thank you, Doctor. Subhankar, I just learned something more from you. Find a purpose and you'll get the way. That's the way you discovered your purpose long time ago when you saw the health services in Garo Hills not up to the mark. And I presume that motivated you to go ahead and get the best medical knowledge and one day return. We are looking forward to you to return to Meghalaya. Maybe you could be heading the system itself and making the necessary changes for a better health system in the States. Thank you so much, Subhankar. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. It was an honor. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Tyrone. Thank you very much, Dr. Paul. It was a pleasure to have both of you. And ladies and gentlemen, don't forget to join us tomorrow morning at 9:30 to travel to California, Los Angeles. That is 7 Habits of Highly Fulfilled People. And 11:30 in the morning, that is tomorrow morning, we will travel with Nijara Nath all the way to radio, television, theater, music, films, animation of the entire Northeast part of India. And tomorrow evening, 8 p.m. to Canada. Imagine, we will start our journey in the morning in America. We will travel to Northeast part of India, and then we'll go back to Canada. What a beautiful golden triangle we all will enjoy tomorrow. Thank you very much. Thanks a lot. Thanks for joining us. Wishing you all a wonderful people, those are joining us in Canada, America, Latin America. It's a green morning for all of you. People in UK and the entire European Union, you enjoyed your lunch, go for your tea and coffee. And people, those are in beautiful India, go for your dinner. I think it's a time. Your dinner awaits you, and there are